Welcome to our Parsha share. It's Parsha Shmini Taf Shin Pei Daled. And we have two completely separate ideas to give over that are both absolutely fundamental and just very exciting. Okay, so we'll go with I don't know what to go first with. So we'll go with the Seder of the Parsha, and we'll talk about the Ma'aser of Nadav and Avihu, which is brought in our Parsha. So it says V'yikhu b'nei Aaron Nadav v'Avihu. So the sons of Aaron, Nadav and Avihu, they took Ish Ish Machtasoi. They took like a fire pan, they put in it aish. V'yasimu aleha ketores. V'yakrivu. They put on it incense and they offered it. Lifnei Hashem. Aish zara, a foreign fire. Asher lo tziva oisam. That Hashem didn't offer, he didn't command. V'teitzei aish milifnei Hashem. And a fire came out from before Hashem. The toichel oisam, it ate them up. V'yamusu lifnei Hashem, and they died in front of Hashem. It's a kind of tragic story. It goes on. V'yomer Moshe l'Aaron. Moshe says to Aaron, Hu asher dibra Hashem leimor, b'kroivai ekadesh, like I've been, how do you translate? I'll be standing by those who I've chosen. And I'll be glorified before all the people. It's a difficult translation, but that's what this sefer says. With ones close to me, I will be sanctified. And in front of all of the nation, I will be honored. And Aaron v'yidoim Aaron. Aaron was silent. That's the story. Nadav and Avihu offer up a sacrifice that they weren't commanded to offer up. They died, and Aaron was silent when he found out. Moshe told him it was a Kiddush Hashem, or kind of weird Kiddush Hashem, and Aaron was silent. So this, I think, then I'm just gonna bring in another thing from a couple of few psukim later, which is Yud, the chapter Yud, pasuk Yud, when the Torah goes on to talk about the halachas of the Beis Hamikdash with the Kohanim serving in the Beis Hamikdash. And it tells us that the Kohanim can't get shikha, okay? And we know by Nadav and Avihu that there was shichus there, they had drunk, sheikha, and then it says one of the reasons is lahavdil bein kodesh uvein achoil, to be mavdil bein kodesh lachol, because uvein atame uvein atahor, that a person who is intoxicated, he can't distinguish between kodesh and choil. Ben Tame Uvein Taho. Okay, so what's going on? So, see, Nadav and Avihu, what we're going to say here, we have to remember that this is just Al Derech Musa, just for us to learn. And when it comes to criticizing anyone in Tanakh, we have to know that they were different creatures to us, and there's all kinds of deep, high things going on, but just for us to learn. We're going to speak about Nadav and Avihu as normal, regular people in a sense, but they weren't, okay? And even Moshe said that they were higher than him and Aaron, so keep that in mind. But anyway, so the Pasha Pshat is that Nadav and Avihu were looking for an experience of the Ribono Shel Olam. They got spiced up. They took some alcohol, and they went to have some kind of very deep ruchnius experience of the Ribono Shel Olam. what they offered up was called an Eish Zara, and it wasn't commanded. The names Nadav and Avihu are also very relevant. Nadav comes from the word Nadava, which means like an off. How do you translate Nadava?
Isn't it a gift?
Like a gift. Yeah, it's like it's of your own volition. It's the opposite of a commandment. A commandment means you're being commanded to do this, and Nadava means you're doing it of your own free will. It's your choice. Okay, that's Nadav. And then there's Avihu, which is from the Lashon, the word father. Now, the biggest mistake that we make in our Yiddishkeit is thinking that it's about experience. Yiddishkeit is about avodah. We're here to serve the Ribbono Shel Olam. Experience does come, and there is experience, and there are even commandments like Shachris, for example, where we are commanded. The whole point of the mitzvah is to have an experience, but that's not the foundation of all mitzvahs is avodah, service, which means it's not about me, it's about you. That's why it's not a nadava. Our service is a commandment. It's like you've ever heard somebody say, look, you keep your religion to yourself, and I'll serve God in the way that I want to serve God. You've heard someone say such a thing? Yeah. So the response to that would be like, you go to a restaurant, yeah, and the guy comes up, and you order your food, and he looks at you and he's like, you know what? Let me serve you the way I want to serve you. Let me take care of this. Thank you very much. And you're like, I want the chicken. He's like, no. I'm going to bring you the beef. You can't serve someone according to how you want to serve them. That's not service. That's not service. Service is about you. I can't serve you on my terms. That's not called service. That's called something else. That's a nadava. That's a free will offering. That's not a service. So we're here, we're commanded to be Ivdu es Hashem, b'simcha. Ivdu es Hashem, we have to serve Hashem. And that's why the Tanya says that the foundation of all of our avodah is yira. Ava is the next madrega that we want to get to, 100%. But the foundation is yira. What yira basically means is your primary. You could call it respect. Ava gives you the koyach to do positive things. Yira gives you the energy to hold yourself back, to allow the other person to. So we all love to do things. Everyone loves to buy people gifts, or a lot of everyone sitting here loves to buy people gifts. And we like doing things. It's nice. It's geschmack. But what about holding yourself back? What about when your wife wants you to turn off the air conditioner and you're quite hot? That's when we know that the wife really exists. That's when you know that that's when your wife knows that she really exists in your world. Because to buy her the diamond ring and to take on a nice holiday, that could be that you love her dearly. It could be, but there's something in it for you as well. But when your wife is too cold and you're hot and she asks you to turn off the mazgan and you do so, now for sure she exists. That's for sure, because there is nothing in that for you whatsoever. That's why yira, or respect, is the foundation of our avodah. So Nadav and Avihu, so there's two services. There's the service of the eved, of the servant, and then there's the service of the ben, of the child. The service of the child is called from love. The service of the eved, of the servant, is called from fear. Fear is not a good translation, but from yira. You know, you understand. So Nadav was the inyan of a nadava. He wanted to serve. It was on his terms, so to speak. Avihu is from the word father, which is the level of from love, doing it out of love, which was missing that foundation of service, that foundation of Yira. Now, what was the response? The response was they died. Why? Because if you're just in it for the relationship, if you're just in it for the experience, then what purpose are you serving in this world? What, Hashem's there just to give you ruchnius experience? We're here to fix the world. We're here for Torah and mitzvahs and avodah to bring the world to perfection, to be partners in Hashem's project. So if it all just becomes about my own experience, it becomes superfluous. Not much need for you to hang around. You might as well just go up to Gan Eden and start enjoying the Shechina up there, because it's much more geschmack. If you want experience, Gan Eden's the place for experience. This world's the place for avodah. This world's much more holy than all the other worlds, because you can't serve God in any other world. You can just sit there and have experience, and the experience is going to be like nothing we can imagine. But that's nowhere near as big a privilege as the schus of serving the Rebbeinu Shalom. So they became superfluous. And therefore they were taken out of the world, and they were given their experience in Gan Eden, where we're really here. The service is what we're here for. And this is what it says later on. Rashi says, Lahavdil, Tavdilu bein avoid. The Rashi is again Yud. Okay, it says Lahavdil Kadei Lahavdilu bein avoida kadoisha u'machuleles. To differentiate between holy service, and then he says, interesting, he just says u'lemuchuleles. Why not avoida halalu? Why not not profane, mundane avoda? Why does it say holy avoda and then mechuleles? Why not avoda halalu? I think would be with halala. I think that would be the adjective. He just calls it mechuleles because it's not avoda. It's not avoda. When we are serving on our terms and for our experience, that's not avoda. Now, the experience comes and you can enjoy the experience. That's gewaldig. But we're not serving for the experience. If we're serving for the experience, then what we're doing is we're turning the mitzvahs into a means to an end. Can anyone give us the Hebrew translation of means to an end? How do we translate means to an end? One word in Hebrew beginning with kuf.
Klipa?
Yes. When the mitzvahs become a means to an end, chaz v'shalom, we've got the world upside down, because mitzvahs are an end unto themselves. If we're in it for the experience, then that means the mitzvah is there to serve me. I'm the end. My experience is the end, and the mitzvah is just the way that I'm going to get my pleasure. We flip reality on its head. We're here to serve. If pleasurable experience comes from that, then great. And we should be, I mean, you're not going to be serving too long if you're not getting any kind of experience or any kind of pleasure. So keep with that. But it's just that's the means to an end. The experience is the means to the end. The end is the actual mitzvah. And that was what Aaron, I don't know if you remember, when I came to LA the first time, I don't know if anybody remembers, I spoke at Shashidas at Yitz's house. You remember the Torah that I gave over? I've given it over many times since then, probably, about Aaron going into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So this is really our whole organization, which is B'nai Aliyah, which is based after Rebbe Shimon. When he was talking to Rebbe Lazar, he called himself B'nai Aliyah, which is the highest level of service that our generation is privy to. This Torah is what that's about. I'll say it very bekitzer because there's other stuff to speak about. But I'm going to say it very bekitzer. that Aaron HaKohen, when he went into the Kodesh Kedoshim to light the into the Kodesh, sorry, to light the menorah, it was the weirdest situation in that very, very unique circumstance. His Ava and Yira that you could have imagined was just going out of his head could have stared the actual Maisa Mitzvah. Because of his Roiv Ava and Yira, it could have been that he wasn't able to actually do the very specific fine avoider of the psilas and the lighting. And it would have just been a carnage, oil dripping from the ceiling and, an old man on fire in the corner just shaking. It could have been carnage. So in this very bizarre situation, he put to the side his Ava and his Yira. And he did the mitzvah lahalacha. I just gave over about a half an hour Torah which is really a very important Torah that maybe another time we'll give over. But the point is that in the situation, the weirdest situation where the experience was going to be so intense that he wouldn't have been able to perform the mitzvah correctly, he let go of the experience and did the mitzvah. That was Aaron. And it says, Vayaschein Aaron. The pasuk says, and Aaron did so. And Rashi says that he was not Meshane the halacha. Lo shinu. He didn't do something different, meaning he did the halacha because in this weird scenario, when his Avron Yir was going to share the mitzvah, he was able to put it to the side and just do the Maisa mitzvah. And that's why it says, V'yidoim Aaron. Aaron was silent. The tikkun for Nadav and Avihu was Aaron's silence, meaning no experience. That's silence. That was the tikkun. When we're in it for the experience, it's like, what it's like? It's like in the mikveh, having a hot mikveh is very geschmack. Every now and again, like the bathroom attendant, the balan, I don't know what we call that. Yeah, he forgets to turn on the hot water or something. Like once every 6 months, it happens, on a Friday afternoon. Everyone's grumbling and mumbling and I've said to people before, look, this is your chance to prove to the Bodeshon that you're doing it lishma. Because, it's a big tainug. You enjoy it's lovely, yeah? The one day when it's cold, you should say, Rabbeinu Shalom, look, watch this. It's mamash for you. All of these things. So there's no problem with having a geschmack. No problem whatsoever. In fact, you should have a geschmack. You should have a gewaldige geschmack. And this is the really funny bit. Is the Mishnah says that when you chase covered, the covered runs away from you. Yeah, I tell you this from my own personal experience. When you chase experience, the experience runs away from you. If you dedicate yourself to a bonus shloim as an eved, and you say to Hashem, look, this isn't about me, this is about you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you, whether I like it, whether I don't like it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's geschmack, whether it's not geschmack, I'm here for you. And you'll see if you do that, not that you do it for this reason, chas v'shalom, but you'll see that the experiences will start coming much more frequently than when we're trying to chase the experiences. Just like the covered. If you chase the covered, it flees away, it runs away from you. So too the same with experience. We should be zocher to serve Hashem and enjoy it very much, but not for that reason. Okay.
How does this come together with the idea of mitoch shelo lishma ba lishma? Meaning the idea that even if you're not doing it for the right reasons, that you're going to do it, and then eventually you'll get to that level.
So that's you have to look at that Gemara, and that's really not pasha. That in fact, it's not that it's not pasha. It's for sure not true that if a person is in oived lo lishma, he will come to lishma. The way the Moranayim translates that Gemara is matoich lo lishma boy lishma, meaning from the lo lishma, and he says from the hatred of the lo lishma, from the frustration with the lo lishma, you'll come to lishma. But if a person is just being ovid lo lishma, there's no guarantee whatsoever that he needs to know that the goal is avoid lishma, and then he will come to lishma eventually. But when that is not an automatic promise, bichlal, really not. It's a good question, but that's not. It's a very important idea that mitoich lo lishma bo lishma, and could also be understood as a child when you're serving, and a child can only serve lo lishma. But as we move forward, we have to be doing a lot of. We have to be working hard to get to lishma, and we are in the most. The reason why it's not spoken about so much is because for previous generations, it was such a distant thought. But for us, in our spoilt 2024 situation, where we're basically sick of ourselves anyway, and we've got pleasure coming out of our ears, yeah, and we're now looking for, like, to serve. If we could, it's like we're mamish right there. That lishma has become more available than it ever has been, Allah en masse to Am Yisrael. This is a very unique time in our history. Very unique time in our history. Just to fill in the blanks, because again, this is a much longer idea, but just quickly, number one, the physicality of the world now is so geschmack, and there's so much pleasure in gashmias, and there's so little pleasure in ruchnius. So we're now in that's one Hashem. That's not just that didn't just happen. Hashem has engineered reality that at the end of days, that's the situation. And we are able now more than ever to serve Hashem, at the highest level of lishma. Not even just lishma, at the highest level of lishma.
Yeah, I just thought the whole idea was that, we are in a physical world here. Our bodies are in a physical world. The mitzvos are the bridge between our physical world and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So even if we're doing the mitzvos for not the right reasons necessarily, they're still forming that bridge spiritually, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. If it's a question between doing the mitzvah lo lishma and not doing the mitzvah, then absolutely 100% you do the mitzvah. But our voida is trying to get to lishma, and it's really available. And it really is available. One of the biggest rises that no one talks about it. That's how we know that it's such a essential avoider in our generation. Okay, let's just finish the other idea. The other idea we can say a little quicker. The inyan of the chazir. The chazir is called the chazir, meaning from Lashon chozer, it's going to return at the end of days. But we know, see, the chazir has it's got split hooves, but it's not malageira, it's not a ruminant. It's called what's it called? Monogastric. There's ruminant and a monogastric. Basically, nearly all animals, there's a couple of exceptions, but nearly all animals fall into one of those two categories. So cows and goats and sheep and camels, but all the kosher animals are malageira, they're ruminants, which means they have 4 compartments in their stomach, and they break down the food to the most elemental level, mamash. Whereas solo gastronom or monogastric, I think it's monogastric animals. Yeah, like a chazir, we're also monogastric, meaning that we have a stomach, we have one stomach, and we break down the food, but not to the level of a ruminant, not to the level like for say, for example, a cow. Okay? But we're told, Chazal tell us that the chazir at the end of days is going to be choizer and it's going to become kosher. But we know that the Torah is nitzchi, and the mitzvahs are never going to change. The mitzvahs are the mitzvahs, they're never going to change. So what's going to happen? The Or Chaim explains that the chazir itself, its stomach is going to change to that of a monogastric creature to a ruminant creature, if that's the right way of saying it, to a creature that ruminates, to an animal that ruminates. Its stomach is going to go through an inner transformation. The Lashon here is, yeah, aval asid lavoi, Yale Geirav, Yachsul Yo's Mutter. The Chazir is going to turn around. Its Metzius is going to turn around. It's going to be Yale Geirav. It's going to become a ruminant, chew the cud. Yeah, V'lo Yisha'ah B'lo Geirav, and it's not going to. And it's not going to stay without that. Ki Torah loy teshuna, because the Torah is not going to change. So l'chayra, the pig's going to change. What's the inyan? What's the inyan? So the inyan is like this. You've got two simanim. You've got the external siman and the internal siman. Okay, the cow, the animal's got the split hooves. That's the external level. And then it's got the internal reality. That's the chewing the cud. See, the external level has to be split. Yeah, the split hooves. That's the idea of the riboy, the multiplicity of this world. This world is typified by multiplicity. That's why the Torah begins with the base, which is number 2. World of creation is the world of 2. The world of Hashem is the world of 1. In our situation right now, this multiplicity, the world that we see around us, is energized, so to speak, by Elohim Acherim. Don't get me wrong, there's only Hashem, okay? But on the basic level of understanding, the level we're understanding is that this world. Sorry, we had the internet broke for about 12 hours. So I'm back. Anyway, so what we were just saying is that the multiplicity of this world, which is what we call Klipa is the Indian of multiplicity, is energized, so to speak, through Elohim Acherim, meaning that although all energy comes from Hashem, there is only Hashem, but it comes from a back way, so to speak. That's Elohim Acherim, from Lashon Acher, from back, which means it's not being powered from his inner will, meaning he doesn't want it for itself. Right now, creation is a means to an end. What's the end? That we can choose him. So creation is not an end unto itself at this moment in time. So we're receiving our energy. So the whole world, the world of Klippa, is receiving its energy from Elohim Acherim. And it's very important, the word Acherim, that's multiplicity, that's riboy, that's many, where Hashem is Echad. The symbol of the inner dimension of the Chazir, who is the Klippas Tameus, the most unholy element, the most selfish element of creation, returning to an internal state where he is, so to speak, grinding the food down to its most essential level. That means that's the symbol of the world receiving from Hashem Echad, as opposed to Elohim Acherim, from the backside of Hashem, that we're receiving from the forefront, from the panim of Hashem. That means that it's something that he wants for himself. When we give something from our panim, when there's a relationship panim al panim, it means we don't want something from the other. It's about the other. When we're giving from our back, like when the example I always give is with the cab driver, then that's a relationship back to back, because I don't want it. It's not about him. It's about getting to wherever. And with him, it's not about me. It's about my money. But when we're giving from our face, from our front, that means it's about him or her, if it's our child, if it's our parent, if that's our spouse, if that's our sibling, etc. So the Chazir, his inner world, turning to that level where he's actually accessing the very essence of the food, grinding it down, mamash. Yeah, that's a symbol for what's going to be in Asid Lavoi when this world will become an end unto itself. That's the inner Tchias and Mason, when the world will stop being a means by which gives us the means by which we get free choice, and it will be mamash, the conduit, where it will be an end unto itself. That's the idea of Tchias and Mason. Bezrat Hashem. So that's when this world becomes the end to itself. When Hashem starts giving to this world from his inner essence, from his essential desire, not for an external desire, not for a reason, not for some kind of extraneous reason, but for this itself, which is when really it's the reason why that is when the goof and the neshama are shown to not be one. That's the day when his name and he will be one. When he and his name will be one, that's when the goof and the neshama are shown that there is no chiluk, that there is no difference between the goof and the neshama, and there is only one. And that's the symbol of the chazir turning around at the end of days. Okay, we should be zoicha Bezrat Hashem very soon to see that, and Hashem should have a lot of nachas mas in the meantime. Bezrat Hashem. Okay, Kol Tov.